Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Play the Hits, where at long last we are back with some Final Fantasy IV. Nick, I think we're going to the Feymarch. Am I remembering that correctly? Yes.
Oh god, you know what? I just remembered. I gotta take my dogs out. I'll see you later. I hate this place. I hate this part of the game where you gotta go through the Feymarch and the Sylvan Cave. Never a huge fan of those areas.
So, fun story about that, Nick. We may actually have to grind a little bit because I don't even have float yet. So wait a minute.
Wait, how do you
Oh wait,
get
no, okay.
float?
It looks like this one doesn't hurt me when I walk on it.
Yeah.
Oh, yes,
that
it does.
One.
Yes, it does.
Well, maybe you can just heal through it.
Yeah, I guess we're gonna have to try. Or we're just gonna have to level up and get float. Hopefully that's not too far away in Rose's repertoire.
Yeah, it's not doing any serious damage to you anyways.
At least not so far.
Oh, hey, now I finally get to listen to the enhanced music here.
Yeah, that's right. This whole playthrough, you haven't been able to hear sound, have you?
Well, you know, I've always just assumed it sounded like the Final Fantasy of old, but...
Yeah, but it does have that nice,
It's always nice to
DS
hear...
version music.
Yeah, it's always nice to hear everything's different reinterpretation of, you know, music and art style and all that jazz.
Yeah. So
well, this guy can just keep summoning meat shields, and he'll be just... Oh, now
I was gonna say, right now he's summoning goblins. I get the feeling that, like, you wait too long, he summons something much worse. Okay, so we'll just have to kind of tread carefully.
I gotta go pick up all the sweet, sweet loot, too.
That's right, there's some good loot in this cave, isn't there?
I think the Defender Blade is down there somewhere.
Is that right?
Yeah, on the bottom floor.
Okay. Let's start breaking out bio.
Yeah, damage output is suboptimal.
Yep. Okay. Hit those Kiragas.
Now, who's it gonna heal?
Yeah, right.
Oh, alright.
Okay, and it poisoned the summoner, which is exactly what I was hoping for. Wow, Edge did not get the heals he needed.
Edge hardly has any health to begin with.
Exactly.
Well, hopefully this will make them level up quick.
I'm thinking so. Kane's at full health, so I don't have to worry about him jumping. Missing out on a cure.
Kane's also got the most
that's bad
health,
news.
So...
Kane's, yeah, he's pretty up there. Cecil's got slightly more, but... Here you go, Edge. Nice, okay. That was cool. Whoa, hello. And somehow it was only Edge that gained a level.
Oh, I see where this is... And I thought one enemy was bad enough.
Oh boy. We may not be ready for the Feymarch. I probably should have done some off-camera grinding between episodes, but I did not. Oh, damn.
Yeah, they're beating the hell out of you.
We may not be ready for this shit.
Well, you should be able to level up pretty quickly. I mean, I think you can at least snatch victory from the jaws of defeat here.
Yeah, you'd think so. I might want to teleport out and go, If I complete that one cave, though, then Kane leaves me, and then I'm really in trouble.
And if you go too far, you can't get Yang's spoon.
Oh, that's right, you can get the spoon at this part, right? That's, like, the best weapon you can throw with Edge, correct?
Well, I think you can set it up to get the spoon, but yeah, correct.
I see.
You only get one of those.
Shit.
Well, I guess I'm part of the enemies now, guys.
Yeah, right. Thanks, Edge.
We're
out of here. I'll be damned if I'm taking the loss.
You know, you can always, shouldn't you be using Protect and Shell? Yeah, these guys are a bit much for you, honey.
At least, like, at the level I'm at. Let's... Is the Sylph Cave, harder or easier than the Feymarch?
So.
It's worse? Okay.
I believe it's... I think. Every version is a little bit different, though.
Right.
Yeah, but in this version, though, I think the Avengers sword you get for Kane is still, like, ridiculously powerful.
Yeah. So...
I mean, if you can make it through there, that's pretty much the end of the game weapon.
Right. Thus far, this game has this version of the game, we have not had to do any kind of power leveling. That may change this episode.
Well, I guess time to come up with a decent topic of conversation.
Yeah, give me some trivia here. Did you watch any E3 this year?
You know, I don't watch the E3 stuff. I don't know. Maybe I'm just getting cynical, but it's just one of those things. Like, I get it. The industry is trying to do its yearly song and dance to gin up interest in sales. I get it. All I really got out of it was something Keanu Reeves. Nintendo
he's in Cyberpunk.
Cyberpunk, yeah. It's a thing, I guess.
I'm looking
Everybody
forward to it.
gets pissed off at celebrity cameos in games unless it's someone they like.
Right. Yeah, no,
I don't know exactly
who
was cheering for Ronda Rousey being in Mortal Kombat 11, though, but, you know, to each their own.
Wait, who is in Mortal Kombat 11?
I believe Ronda Rousey.
I'm not sure who that is.
She's some sort of WWE fighter.
Oh, okay. I got excited about the new Mortal Kombat game when I saw they brought back the Shang Tsung who was in the 90s movie. Did you catch that?
Yeah, I did. I always just...
That's celebrity enough for me. That is more than celebrity enough for me.
What else was in E3? Yeah, I guess Cyberpunk is still coming out.
Along with Shenmue 3 eventually. You saw the FF7 remake, I'm sure, but I know you don't really have any vested interest in that.
I already played that game.
Well, hey, I already played Link's Awakening, and that definitely won E3 for me.
Well, it looks like you're getting some really cool new features and a dungeon builder, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I mean, the dungeon builder looks like it could be a lot of fun. It's a little bare bones, but I like that they're playing with the concept in the same way that they're doing the Mario Maker idea.
The fact that they're even offering it, I think, is really cool.
Yeah, and I'm probably gonna have a lot of fun messing with it and like sending them to you and Max. Maybe like that could be sort of a thing that we do on the channel for a little bit. Just
I do intend to get
levels.
Mario Maker 2.
Oh yeah, that'll be fun.
Yeah, that's coming out.
Wow, that's fast. Faster than I remember.
Now, if I remember these guys correctly, you want to hurt them a little bit so that their monster comes out, and then it gives you a mess of EXP.
Yes. We also
But
want to keep Edge alive.
So here's something, I guess, somewhat heretical. I gotta say, I'm interested in what I'm seeing for, what is it, Breath of the Wild 2?
Oh yeah, with Corpse Ganon.
Is that what it is? I didn't actually watch too much of the trailers. Well, of course.
Damn it.
I'm just excited to see a version of the game that will hopefully lack the tedium of the first one.
Yeah, I don't know what to expect at all from it. All I know, and I think I said this a little bit with Max, is whenever they tend to do direct Zelda sequels, those tend to be the more creative and like off the beaten path games.
I feel I wasn't a huge fan of Breath of the Wild, but it was interesting, but it was like almost there for me as far as a game that I really enjoyed, just not quite. And I'm excited to see what they'll do with the oh wow.
That'll do.
Excited to see what they'll do with the sequel to kind of address some of the shortcomings that I felt it had.
My thought was I really enjoyed Breath of the Wild, but it is definitely not my favorite Zelda game because it was lacking in some like really important areas, like for instance dungeons. And so I'm with you. I'm kind of hoping they do something in this one to really address that.
Yeah, I mean, they really seem to have like some really good ideas that they just didn't fully... Like, they went a mile wide and an inch deep, you know?
Yeah, the open world concept and like the actual playable area itself was wonderful and a lot of fun to explore. But without, you know, like some anchored like locations where the gameplay was supposed to intensify. Like there wasn't much separating the first beast you went to from the last one, and then, you know, there was Ganon's castle, which was a fair challenge and really fun to climb, but also like the same thing that you've been doing the entire game, just more of it.
Yeah, I mean, it was essentially 100 hours of more of the same.
Yeah. Which, granted, what was there was plenty fun, but yeah, it definitely stopped short. And then the other thing too was like the very limited range of items and resources you actually had.
I mean, I thought it was interesting that they gave you all of the dungeon items right at the beginning of the game. That was a nice kind of flip the series on its head kind of thing.
Sure. But at the same time, I would have enjoyed like the boomerang or the hook shot or something like that.
Yeah, I agree with that. Well, I think I had read an article, like, it was like the Edge Wars had been starting just as soon as E3 was over. Something along the lines that Breath of the Wild 2 will be even darker than Majora's Mask.
Oh, fuck that. Who gives a shit? It's Zelda.
Yeah, right.
Are we still, like, so, 12-year-old as a society? Well, I shouldn't ask. But that we really need a very dark Zelda? I mean, come on, guys. That's just
say that, but when you say that, but in the first 5 minutes, it's going to be like Ganon just, like, stabs Princess Zelda to death,
I won't play it then.
Mutilates her corpse, Hannibal Lecter style.
If they were to try to pull shit like that, which I think is beneath Nintendo, I would just not play it. Don't get me wrong, there's something to be said for a Zelda title like Majora's Mask that kind of has a more thought-provoking plot compared to the rest of the series, but to like actually try to make it like so that, oh man, Zelda's dead and Link has lost his will to live and that's part of the game is the emotional journey to get Link back. Yeah, fuck that. I discuss with myself even saying it, Like, if Link just becomes another cliche JRPG protagonist, then what's the point of even, having it be a Zelda game?
I don't see how there's any opportunity for it to be a dark game. Your
I agree.
Interactions with characters were pretty much next to nothing and incredibly forgettable.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And to me,
I'm
what
sure
that says is that's not what the game was about.
Needing to clicks.
It's like when they made Twilight Princess in response to fan reception of Wind Waker. Here I'm thinking like Wind Waker was one of the most beautiful and like wonderful entries in the Zelda series, and they released Twilight Princess as an apology for it. And I actually ended up enjoying most of Twilight Princess, but I hated like the almost drab, darker tone and the wolf play mechanics. Like those were my two least, but I thought it made up for it in excellent dungeon design and some of my favorite items in the Zelda series. Which to me says, Nintendo's still Nintendo at the heart of it all, but I was kind of pissed off that they even gave in to fan demand on that one.
Well, I like the Zelda series because you never quite get the same apple off the tree twice.
Yeah, I agree.
It's not the same thing over and over on most occasions.
I also feel like Zelda is at its best when it's not taking itself too seriously. And Wind Waker definitely takes itself... Or, sorry, not Wind Waker. Twilight Princess definitely took itself seriously.
Yeah, well, you have to try different things. I mean, I was never a huge fan of Wind Waker, but I love the fact that it was so completely different than anything else in the series.
Yeah, I'm glad we're in agreement there, because
it had some really fun...
Go ahead.
Almost Morrowind-esque exploration, which was an absolute delight.
Wind Waker is actually still my favorite of the 3D Zeldas. And I thought the remaster on the Wii U actually made it better, because the one part where it did slog a little bit was like the complete aimlessness of collecting the Triforce at the end. And so when they addressed that...
Yeah, that felt like some filler. Like, hey, if you haven't done the treasure hunting mechanic yet, you're gonna do it now, damn it.
Yeah, for sure.
That was how you did it, right? Like, you just got Triforce maps, and, like, you had to just go dredge the bottom of the sea to get them?
Yes, but the trick was the game didn't really give you any guidance as to where even the Triforce maps could be located. It was honestly just sail and fish until you get them.
I think I remember this.
And so what the remaster did that was so nice was that it actually gave you ways to locate where the Triforce maps were.
I don't know what that attack does. I just know it for Cecil.
Yeah, right. Just made Cecil face plant, and that's pretty much it. So,
strangely enough, I think the most similar two consecutive Zelda games were Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask.
Yes, definitely. Though Majora's Mask definitely had a completely different tone and structure. Like, I really enjoyed... Damn it! I really enjoyed the way that one was laid out.
Yeah, well,
Majora's Mask was not my favorite, but... But it tried something
so different
creative.
From everything else.
Right. Yeah, I could appreciate it for trying something different.
Yeah, it really was a weird combination of reshuffling the deck and yet somehow also being different.
Yeah.
I guess it was like a really enjoyable part 2 to folks who were just still blown away by Ocarina of Time in its day.
Right, which at the time I was. But the funny thing about it, like, the thing that I didn't enjoy... Son of a bitch. The thing that I didn't enjoy about Majora's Mask was that it almost felt like kind of a mishmash of Ocarina of Time's assets. Well, Cecil's behind now.
Oh, well, it was. It absolutely was. Are you familiar with how the game was made?
Yeah, it was made in like under a year just by basically cutting and pasting areas from Ocarina with like different trappings, basically.
Yeah, intentionally so. There was, are you familiar with the bet?
Yeah, it's supposed to be like a shadow world of the Hyrule and...
No. Are you familiar with the bet on the dev team's part?
Oh, no. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, so the reason why it's basically an asset flip is the director of the game... Who was the head honcho on that project?
So, it wasn't Miyamoto, obviously. I can't think of his name.
Yeah, it wasn't Miyamoto, but anyways, he made a deal with the Nintendo higher-up, and basically it was a bet where they said, if you can churn out another Zelda game in under... we will pay all the marketing costs on our side of the company.
Ah, nice.
So the only way they were able to do that was essentially to create an asset flip.
Right.
Which I thought was a very good asset flip.
Oh, yeah, without question.
So it was very intentional. It was meant to be a very quick clip job.
Right. And that's not to crucify Majora's Mask. I very much enjoyed it. It just... Like Breath of the Wild, there were some parts that I just would have liked to see either more fleshed out or you know, for an asset flip, it's really impressive, but I would have loved if it had more of its own identity.
Yeah, well, you know, several poor Japanese programmers, you know, spend no less than 6 20-hour days for a series of 50 weeks in the office churning that game out.
Oh, of course, yeah. And the great thing about it was, at the end of the day, it still very much felt like a lovingly crafted Zelda. It didn't feel ham-fisted
it's
or like
one of my
shoehorned
favorites.
out. Yeah.
You know, I think it's the beauty of the game is that it did an excellent job combining the familiar with the new.
Yes, and it was like laboriously weird, and that like I said, Zelda's at its best when it's not taking itself too seriously.
It was the reason I think it worked so well is Ocarina of Time was just such a mind-blowing step forward that you got more of that with the familiarity, but with those really kind of creepy undertones. I mean,
yes,
like Majora's Mask is like the creepypasta version of Ocarina of Time.
Yeah, exactly. And whereas Ocarina of Time took like the most familiar and beloved aspects of the series and, you know, realized them in the third dimension, Majora's Mask wasn't content just to do that again. It's like, okay, now how creative can we get with the bar Ocarina had set? And that was a noble ambition, yeah.
Yeah, not a trick I'd recommend twice, though.
No, definitely not. So that kind of brings us full circle. That's kind of what I think they're going to be doing with this other one. I think we're going to get like a mirror version of Breath of the Wild's world with some like funky new, you know, either side characters or stories, or like I said, just kind of weird for the sake of weird.
As much crap as I gave, you still don't have float?
Still don't have float. I'm gonna see like what loot I can skim off the top here and try to level up.
Well, if you can get the Avenger, the game's over.
Yeah.
Not that it's because you lose Kane soon, but...
That's true.
Yeah, as much crap as I give Breath of the Wild, I would play through the sequel.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like they really kind of got down what they wanted the game to be, and I'm sure the sequel will be address the concerns I had.
You know, the nice thing about Zelda is when it's good, it's really good, and when it's not the best, it's still digestible. It's like pizza, you know?
Yeah, Spirit Tracks. Right, gotcha.
You know, like I said,
digestible.
Spirit Tracks, probably my least favorite entry in the series. I still played through it, and even at parts, enjoyed it, so... It could always... Do I even want to bother with Toad?
The Zelda series is really amusing in the way that it seems to, even if there's a couple entries you don't like, overall consistently,
right?
You know, you got more good than bad.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And so back to E3.
What's a series where? Oh, go ahead.
But back to E3 very quickly. That's the reason that nice. Link's Awakening really won the day for me. It's just that it is one of my favorite entries in a series filled of, like, beloved childhood memories. And I'm looking forward to, you know, not every game needs a graphical overhaul, but, you know, Game Boy games just, they're wonderful, but no one would ever call them beautiful.
Well, it looks like they're gonna not only re-release the old game, but with a bunch of new mechanics.
Yeah,
so,
they're
kind of like FF7 style.
Right, they're not content just to, you know, let it be as it was.
Boy.
I know I'm about to suffer some pain here.
These boys are trouble even when
I'm properly leveled. Yeah. Let's get Ifrit out here.
What is the anti-Zelda? What is, as opposed to Zelda, which everything is gold with a couple rare exceptions, what's a series that, you know, is long and windy but had, like, one good entry that seems to justify the whole series?
So I'm not sure about long and windy, but immediately I think of The Witcher. So, like, 1 and 2...
Think of what you cut out for a sec. Oh, the Sonic series. Yeah, that's a valid point.
Well, actually, that's a good point that you just made. But my comment was actually The Witcher. Oh boy.
Oh.
So
you know what? You're right.
Two games that for the life of me I just can't play, and then one game that is like one of my top 3 of all time. You know, it's just.
I noticed you're not counting the standalone Gwent game.
No, let's not talk about Gwent. Though actually, you know, if you enjoy that kind of game, it actually looks like it could be really fun.
It's got a pretty devoted following, but I've just never been a real Magic the Gathering kind of fan.
Same here. And I'm pretty sure it's probably just the fact that I'm stupid, you know, that I can't get into it the way I get into other games.
Well, hey, yeah. You know, not everybody can enjoy Metal Gear Acid.
Oh, dear God. So, yeah, this episode is going to be devoted just to getting at a level where I can actually progress to these things.
Jiminy Cricket, yeah, they did a number on you. Do we have anything to show for it?
Nothing. I tried all 3 caves and all of them licked me, so we're just going to go into the easiest one.
You did pretty good in the sealed cave, though.
Yeah, that's where we're going. So we're not going to get all the way to the wall, but we're going to get just far enough. If I can get, like, to high 30s, mid to high 30s, we should be in good shape. As soon as Rosa learns float, then I'm good to go. At least through the Feymarch. So let's head.
That'll help.
Yeah, let's head back to the sealed cave here.
Golly, remember when you had to go through and get the dragon tails for that endgame armor and the
DS version?
Remake?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Because I actually was dedicated to that enough to try to take on Proto Babel and all that stuff. So I did all the extras.
Yeah, that was surprisingly fun. I don't know how they conned me into playing through it, you know, 2 times in a row.
I was going to say, I did multiple playthroughs.
Equipment.
Yep, I did multiple playthroughs just to get the, whatchamacallit, the augments.
Yeah, that's right. Because it turned out they increased your stats on level up.
Okay, now if Kane jumps, does he just target someone else, or is it a miss?
He just murders him in the air.
Hey, no, it's a miss. All right.
You just see his corpse fall out of the sky.
Kane just face plants from 10 stories up. Now, if I remember Titan Rex's day, I think I was relying on
remember,
bio.
I think you want him to summon the dragon because it gives you a mess load of XP, or not. All right.
You actually want to kill him if you can, because then he gives you a boatload.
Okay. And nothing. Yep. Congratulations, you've won nothing.
That's exactly right. So if he targets Kane at the beginning, I'm in relatively good shape. But yeah, we're here mostly for the EXP, so this is good news.
Well, yeah, and it's good XP, so...
Damn it.
Let's see. Did anything else newsworthy come out of E3?
Yeah, no, the big things that I was most invested in were, again, Zelda. I was very curious about the FF7 remake, and I'm... like I said, you're not necessarily invested in it, but I'm really concerned about Square Enix's development process of that game.
Mm-hmm.
It's
how so?
So basically, the first in a series of however many games they haven't told us yet is just the first 3 hours of the original game. So it's just when you're in Midgar.
Yeah, they're really gonna pad the hell out of that.
Well, my guess is they're not gonna finish it. I guarantee you, Square's gonna let it sit idle for years between entries, and we're maybe gonna get two entries out of this whole thing.
No, you mean it's gonna end up like Sonic 4, huh?
No, it's gonna end up like Final Fantasy 15, where what we get at the end isn't even recognizable as a complete game. And like I said,
valid point.
I feel so two-faced whenever I critique FF15 because I actually enjoyed it overall, but it was a sloppy mess. It really, the fact that they still salvaged a playable, enjoyable game out of it is really saying something, because the structure of it and the narrative of it is almost incomprehensible. If it weren't for the really well-developed core characters and the very fun game mechanics itself, and the fact that, it's a beautiful world that you can explore in kind of this cool car, I would have put it down and just called it a day.
I love the fact I've seen, I think, 4 people play through different parts of 15, and I have no idea what the hell is ever going on.
Right, and I'm really thinking, ultimately that's what we're going to end up with this FF7 rehash. And not only that, though, they were just so thrilled in their most recent interview to announce that they're adding a Kingdom Hearts style Organization 13 shadowy cabal to the game that's supposed to stalk you through the whole story.
Wait a second.
I know. Oh, they're calling them the Guardians of Fate or something like that, which, if that doesn't sound like the most ham-fisted RPG trope of a name you've ever heard. And not only that, though, but Final Fantasy VII already had a shadowy cabal that stalked you through the game. You had the Turks, Jenova, and Sephiroth himself. 3 villains, none of whom really got fully developed, and they want to add a fucking 4th? I mean...
Well, look at all this extra development time they've got.
Oh, man,
might as well add another faction.
I'm over it. I really am. They can't...
The big question is, are they going to have the tower defense minigame again? That's what I want to know.
I don't think so. I think they're cutting my favorite parts of that game out to kind of pave the way for this, again, Kingdom Hearts-inspired JRPG cliche that people who were born after the original game came out just kind of think FF7 is. It's so frustrating to me. As someone who, legitimately enjoyed FF7 back in the 90s, and again, it's kind of the same thing as Majora's Mask, which we were just talking about. It wasn't my favorite entry in the series, but I really appreciate it for what it did at the time. And,
for its time, I could appreciate it.
Yeah. It was unique. It did something with the Final Fantasy series that had never been done before, which was bring it into the land of 3D with that kind of unheard of scope for the time. And it had its fun, charming moments. It still felt like a Final Fantasy, you know? Like, it really didn't take itself as seriously as everyone seems to believe it does. Like, right now, it's all about, you know, Cloud and Sephiroth being melodramatic and badass, but that was, like, such a small portion of that actual game.
You know, I was always, like, one of the odd ones out in high school. I played through 7, and, my final, like, judgment on that game was like, it was alright.
Yeah, same here.
Like, it was nothing special. I
Right.
mean, it was no 9.
No, of course not. But at the same time, the parts of the game that I did find legitimately endearing and memorable seem to be the ones that they're going out of their way to ignore in this remake. And so, like, the more I see of it, like, I think the gameplay looks awesome. The kind of meshing between the more action-oriented style and the original ATB seems like a really unique mechanic. The graphics are undeniably beautiful, but like everything that they're telling about the story just has me on pins and needles.
Well, at times I just kind of have to remind myself that don't worry, Nicholas. It's a game you can purchase, not a part of your portfolio in your 401k.
Yeah,
so if it bombs,
exactly right.
You're gonna be okay.
But as a fan, like as a really dedicated Final Fantasy fan, I don't want it to bomb. Like I didn't want 15 to suffer the fate that it did.
You know,
I really like this series, and I want it to do
as
well.
I've gotten older, I've kind of developed this viewpoint of, you know what? If this series turns into crap and never has another good game, I'm all right with that.
Because
it's churned out enough really good games.
Right, that's exactly
in and of
right.
itself.
It has had a very lustrous, and I'm saying that because of the sword, history.
4, 5, and 6 will never be a lesser game because the Final Fantasy VII remake was utter and complete flaming garbage.
No, but at the same time, I have enough fond memories of the series as a whole that I would take genuine delight in seeing them recapture some of the glory that they had in the late 90s and early 2000s.
Sometimes the 90s should just stay buried, I think, you know?
Who was it? Macho Man Randy Savage? The 90s sucked. Like, people look back on the 90s with, like, nostalgia. The 90s sucked.
Valid point.
I like the 90s. I'd go back. I mean, there was the
It was
internet.
a good time to grow up. It was a good time to grow up.
It was. I mean, there was the internet boom. People could actually find jobs, you know? No one had ever heard of
I couldn't imagine
Al-Qaeda.
growing up in the post-2000 era, you know, where everyone's got a smartphone now. And
Yeah.
Gaming was like, you know, back when we were growing up, you had your Mario game or your Sonic game, you know. Now you have a lot more options.
So you had mentioned Sonic as kind of a series that had more downs than ups, which I agree. What are the downs and what are the ups for you of Sonic?
Of what? Of Sonic? What?
Sonic. So when you ask the question, what are series that are kind of like the inverse of Zelda, where they had like very few bright shining moments and a whole lot of meh?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
So for you, what are the bright shining moments of Sonic, and is the resounding meh? I mean, like, besides the obvious. Like, what are your favorite Sonics?
Okay. Sonic specifically. Well, I mean, you've got your first 4, and then you've got Sonic Mania. It's not really as much an opinion as a basic fact, right?
Yeah, but I think there were
like,
some.
like,
I think
what
there
is
were
there
some
beyond
glimmers.
those
I think there were some
5?
glimmers in between. The first Sonic Adventure, I really enjoyed, despite its bugginess. The second one was serviceable, but kind of started showing some cracks in the pavement, you know. And then after that, there was just a really long period of, like, it's almost like trial and error, but with a series that didn't need trial and error. Like, it's not a mystery what constitutes a good Sonic game. And I'm surprised it took them as long as it did to try to do that again, you know? And one of like the kind of glimmers in between, like the diamonds in the rough, I really enjoyed the 2 Nintendo DS Sonic titles. I also had a fun time playing Sonic Generations with you, if you remember that one.
Yes, that was quite a while back.
That was 2010, and that was in your broom closet. We played through Sonic Generations, I think in one night, actually.
Yeah, or darned close to it.
It was a 2-week project at the most.
So, as far as games go that had like an entire series in one good game, I have to say Secret of Mana.
Really?
That first game was really good, and then, except with the exception of Suicune Detsu 3, everything else is just really meh. From Children of Mana to Sword of Mana to...
Mana is an interesting series because the original Game Boy game, Final Fantasy Adventure in the States, was kind of just a by-the-books Zelda clone. And then, you're right, Secret of Mana was excellent. Seiken Densetsu 3, which never made its way into the US until another great surprise from E3, is now out on the Switch, with a remake, of all things, coming to the PS4 and the Switch. And then you're right, it kind of nosedived after those two. The PS1 game was serviceable, but very forgettable.
Yeah, they were all alright, but overall,
I think Sword of Mana,
like bubblegum.
I think Sword of Mana on the Game Boy Advance came darn close to recapturing the magic, but for some reason they way over. Well, so it was a remake of the first game, and they reinvented the plot, which was cool, but they overdid it. Like,
is that the one where they had the randomized dungeons?
No.
Oh.
It was literally like just a full-on remake of the original game with a whole bunch of added elements, particularly in regards to the story. And I think the story, while okay, did not need to receive as much attention as it did. Like, to the point where it almost had some like Metal Gear Solid style cutscenes where you're like, oh my gosh, when is the dialogue gonna stop and the game gonna commence, you know?
Metal Gear. Sometimes I don't know.
Oh, let's talk Metal Gear if we're talking about series with some rough patches. Damn.
I don't know. I mean, Metal Gear is almost 50-50, isn't it? You've got your good games, which are the odd-numbered ones, and then you got your bad ones, which are the even-numbered ones.
That's fair. Though, I'm one of those weird people that actually still enjoyed Metal Gear Solid 2, despite all of its flaws.
Metal Gear Solid 2 was fine, but I'd never replay it.
I have replayed it, but Metal Gear Solid 4, I am in full agreement with you. Man, that was a game that was so up its own ass that I couldn't tell its end from its beginning.
That was kind of like Kojima. Just, and full disclosure, when I played Metal Gear, I bought that like triple pack that was on sale. You know, you buy all 3 of them at once in the same game cartridge. But
wait, where was that?
Anyways, yeah. I don't know. It's some sort of collector's edition of some sort, but you got all 3 games in these really cool decorative
I remember
cases.
Damn, dude, I didn't know that ever existed. I would have bought that. I remember when they released Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3 together, but I don't remember an edition that had 1.
Got a whole trilogy for $10, $30.
Did you?
Yeah, 4 was what?
Did you ever play the GameCube remake of the first one?
I did. It was
weird. It wasn't bad, but it was weird.
It felt like someone from doing the special effects from The Matrix made the game. It was
like even on
bizarre.
Kojima standards, it was weird. Like, because the building blocks of the original game were still there, but you're right. They for some reason they decided the cutscenes really needed to be like completely unbelievable.
Yeah, just and it was always weird because Metal Gear Solid 1 was the most believable of all the games in the series.
Right,
so.
like that actually could have been like a government conspiracy, like Tom Clancy style thriller.
Yeah, it was like Metal Gear Solid Die Hard, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, it was essentially Die Hard, period, you know?
Yeah, you could have replaced Snake with John McClane and no one would have batted an eye.
Right, yeah, it worked just fine.
Oh, hey, I got float, dude. Check it out. Next episode, we're actually gonna progress.
Well, the level ups here won't hurt anything.
No. And the new equipment.
You might as well clear the way. You might as well just clear out the boss and.
Well, no. If we clear out the boss, we have to finish it, and I don't want to finish it because then we lose Kane. But we're gonna get we're gonna get close. We're gonna take out a few more demon doors or trap doors.
I'm telling you though, at some point you got to play through Tom Clancy's Wildlands. It's pretty much what Metal Gear Solid 5 all over again.
We're only like what 4 days away from the summer sale on Steam.
It's coming up pretty soon, isn't it?
I will see what price it's at. There's a couple of there's a couple games that I have my eye on that I want to see how low they go. That I'm thinking about picking up.
I'm waiting for Wildlands to hit $15. I think that's as low as it's gonna go.
I'm looking at Wildlands because you said it. Devil May Cry 5. Cuphead, The Vanishing of Ethan Carter, because mostly for Indian Summer for that one. What else? There's one or two others, but I can't think of it off the top of my head. I'll have to just consult my wish list. But yeah, this
respectable.
This Steam Summer could be a pretty decent drain on my wallet, but in a good way.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
you're still
Steam
saving quite a
seem
bit.
to have quite as many of the amazing sales as it used to.
No, but the summer sale is still pretty reliably good.
That's true. Yeah, the summer sale and the Christmas sales are pretty good. Yeah, you can usually pick up about 2 or 3 things that are worth it.
Yeah, those are the ones where
gone
they tend
are the days of the 95% off impulse buy.
Yeah, every once in a while they would have a weekend deal that was just like, well, fuck, I've never heard of Shadows of the Tit Monster, but yeah, let's fucking get into it. for 25 cents, why the hell not?
You'll never get that on the Epic Game Store. What happened to that rivalry? You don't hear anything about that anymore.
Oh, their big thing was they are getting Death Stranding exclusively, I believe, for a little bit.
Wait, what?
Oh, it was it was either Death Stranding or another one from E3.
The Epic Game Store is getting Death Stranding as an exclusive? A timed exclusive?
Yeah, timed exclusive. Don't quote me on that. Might be a different game. But there was one from E3 that they said was going to be a timed exclusive for the Epic Store. And people are really upset about it. Maybe
Death Stranding would be a big surprise.
I'm sorry. It was Shenmue 3. It was Shenmue 3. Because because all the backers were enraged.
Yes,
all the people who kickstarted it, and now they can't buy it on Steam. They're pretty mad.
Mm-hmm.
I was never going to get it on Steam anyways. I was just going to get it on the PS4 so that I have the entire trilogy on PlayStation.
You know, I can't, I don't get the whole Death Stranding thing. I really don't.
I think that's the point, right? You're not supposed to get it.
Yeah, that's true. It's like the internet's greatest mystery right now, and once you solve it, you're just not going to care.
Honestly, I think it's going to be a unique and, enjoyable game to play through once. But I think it's going to be your usual Kojima fare. Some pretty by-the-books navigation and action mechanics, with, an incomprehensible story that's just fun to, drink and smoke pot to.
You know, every time I am ready to write off Kojima as just having gotten lucky, he releases something like PT, and it's like, okay.
So I'm ready to give Death Stranding my money and my time just to see what is still knocking around in that brain of his. I'm down for a good Kojima game, always. But the underlying sentiment being a good Kojima game. You can take...
Yeah.
Metal Gear Survive. Well, he had nothing to do with Metal Gear Survive, but, Metal Gear Solid 4. You can take Metal Gear Solid 4 and shove it, Kojima. All right.
Like I said, you gotta...
He
does
Kings.
Okay with the odd-numbered game.
Yes, he does.
I guess Peace Walker was okay, but...
Piss Taker?
Whatever it was. Wasn't that on the PSP or something? I thought for a while they were going to port it to Steam, but I guess they didn't.
Did I run out of arrows with Rosa?
I don't recall her being a punching specialist.
That's hilarious. That's Rose's new thing, just beating the fuck out of people. Oh, I'm out. Oh, I don't think I wanted to cast Thundar on him, did I?
That's gonna heal him, isn't it?
Yep.
Yep.
Don't know. It was the closest thing to bio, and so I cast it. I'm like, damn it. Oh, boy. Well, Nick, we set out to power level enough to get through the caves, and I think we've achieved that, so... This was kind of an odd episode. Though, given kind of the breakneck pace we've been sailing through this game so far, that's not a bad thing either.
It's usually 40 hours into the game before I'm at this point.
Yeah.
I don't know where all that time goes.
I'm gonna go ahead and head back to that last save point. And I think what I'll do is between episodes, I'll make my way out of here, gain another level or two, and then we'll pick up next episode right where we intended to go with this one, which is through the Feymarch. So, yeah.
Hey, and there's a save point right there.
That's exactly right. So, with that, I'm going to use this tent. Any closing thoughts, though, on any of the games that we discussed? Because this has been a good conversation for me. This is nice.
You know, tomato. It's not quite like it used to be with E3, like, you know, the hurrying downstairs on Christmas morning and seeing what kind of gifts the game industry has brought us. It's, yeah, some cool stuff, but overall, like, nothing new. Just kind of, hey, here's some cool rehashes of things you grew up with already.
Yeah.
Which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it was better than last year's. Even with, Sony MIA?
Yeah, my favorite, I agree with you. My favorite surprises all tend to come from either the Nintendo Directs or, what's the Japanese conference in the fall? It's gonna drive me nuts. Next time on Play the Hits.
Alright, there you go.
Later, buddy.